Okay, hello. How are you? I hope you're doing good. Hello. It is Demo with Dina time. Welcome. Let's see if I can get even more of my technical issues sorted out. You know, as one does. I hope you're all doing great. Ooh. Okay, there we are. Okay, I've got to. Hey, everyone. Glad you're with me today. Glad you're with me. Hi, friends. Good to see you. Hey, yeah, the retreat was fun. Just got back from teaching in Georgia at Scrappy Shack Retreat. Super fun. So the last couple times that I've used this, I've gotten a lot of questions. And I thought we would play with it today. Woo woo! Hey, Patty from Ranger. Welcome. Glad to have you guys. We'll just wait for a couple minutes for everyone to pop on. Those of you that are supporters, you saw you were just with me with the other video that we just did. Just wondering how to get that shadow off the corner. I don't even know. Apparently we can't. Okay. All right, friends. Thank you so much for being here. Glad you're with us. I can't remember how old the stencil is. I designed it a while ago. It's still available. Pensive Face. Just want to remind you guys too that stencils with Ranger, we order them maybe once, maybe twice, and when they are sort of trickling down to not be as popular, we discontinue them. So there are so many stencils out there that are Dina Wakley Media and other Ranger designer stencils that are discontinued, and that's just the nature of the beast. So if you see stencils that you like, you gotta grab them. Grab them while you see them because they won't always be available. So it's so fun to see you guys here. Welcome to familiar friends and new faces as well. I appreciate it. Okay, you guys ready to play with this stencil a little bit? One of the things that I love about masking technique in general is that it saves your hiney, right? So you can have the biggest hot mess ever, and by masking technique, you can reduce the visual impact of the hot mess, leave a little bit of the hot mess showing, and then the rest of it, we can get the rest of it doesn't look as bad because we've gotten rid of a lot of it, right? That's the magic of masking. Masking saves everything. So hey friends, thanks for popping on. So basically you've got to think of this stencil kind of like a giant mask, because that really is how it ends up when we play with it. So just a couple of housekeeping things. There's a Facebook group called Dina Wakley, I think it's Kindred Artists. It's free to join. You have to answer a couple of questions. The rule for this Facebook group is that you must use at least one Dina Wakley Media product in what you share in that group. And if it's not obvious what you've used, we would like you to say what you've used, okay? Now, if you go to that group and if you search for this stencil, you'll see lots and lots of artwork done with the stencil. And so you'll get way more ideas than what you will see today. Okay, so Dina Wakley, Kindred Artists, Pensive Stencil. You can search for that. It's on Facebook. Yeah? All right, I'm going to move this beautiful white paper here because I've saved my crummy paper from the last couple days because I want to show you the magic of this stencil when you use it over something that's sort of a hot mess. So this is my background paper that's been sitting on my desk here for a little while, even from last week, I do believe. And I love to use paper lately on my desk because you end up with all of this deliciousness that's such a shame to waste, right? And just clean up. So we're going to start by putting the stencil over the mess, and this just, again, will show you how this stencil will save you from, you know, when you've done too much or overdone or you've made puke on a page. And, you know, there's no shame in puke on a page. I've, you know, made a whole career. Snort. Made a whole career puke on a page. And that's just how I roll. All right, so mini blending tool, my favorite tool. In order for this stencil to really look right, you just don't want whatever you're putting it over to be too dark behind the eye and the nose and the mouth area. If it's too dark, it doesn't really show up. Not that it's not usable and you can't outline it and do all kinds of things to make it work, but you kind of want the eye to be over an area that's not crazy dark. Like right here is not the best place because there's that dark line going right through the eye. Now that can go through other areas, but I just don't want it to go through the eye. Now, what's going to remain is what's behind this little masky part of the face. Everything else is going to go bye-bye. All right, I've got night paint out here, black, basically anything that contrasts with what you have in the background. So if your background is exceptionally dark, try using a light color. If your background is light to medium, a dark color works awesome. So pat, 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 fill it in. Sing a little bit because singing will make everything better. Okay. And then just with the eye, you want to not put too much paint down there so it ends up seeps under. That said, I probably just used too much, so oops, oh well. My 3 favorite words. Oops, oh well. Oops. I'm sliding it around. People will often say, how do you hold stencils down? And I'm like, this is how you do it. Plonk. That's how you do it, my friends. Okay. I'm not doing a good job of it today, though. I always say, make sure that you know, have low art standards, and it just ends up really fun. Okay, I definitely used a little too much paint right there, but you see the idea, right? That it narrows down the chaos of what's left, and you end up with a really cool, funky image to use in your journaling. All right, I'm just gonna cut that out. I love all the bits hanging off. It just makes me so incredibly happy. All right. I'll do this right in journals, right in the journal. If you, you know, make a journal page that you think, oh, that looks like, oh, I just can't live with it. Mask it. Mask it, mask it. Yeah, Beth says it reminds her of Amy Winehouse. Yeah, maybe a little bit. She definitely has a mustache happening there, doesn't she? That was from what was already on the page. Okay, so that gives you the general idea, right? So you're going to place it down. Just be careful with eyes, nose, and mouth. Stencil around. Now I have an idea for you. And this is a poor little idea that was in my pea brain. We'll see if it works. I don't know if it will. You know me. I'm just, you know, you guys kind of get what you get when you have a demo. I do have a plan usually, but then we'll see what happens. Let me just remove this. All right. Back to a little bit cleaner. So let's grab a piece of plain transparency. So plain transparency, the Dina Wakley Media line, we came out with transparencies. The plain ones are fun because you can stamp on them to create your own patterned transparencies. You can stencil them with acrylic. You can do fun gloss spray stuff on them. But I thought, wouldn't it be cool to do a page where this face from this stencil is on a transparency? And so then we can even tip it in and use it kind of like a door and see what it feels like and looks like on a page. Hey, Kathy. from Ranger. Kathy's our sourcer who makes all the magic happen with getting products to market. I'm sure your job's way more complicated than that, but you know. Patty is our education director and also social media and about a million bazillion other things. Always fun to have Ranger peeps here. Okay, so here's the deal with stenciling on the slick surface of a transparency. You've really got to be careful that you don't overload, because there's no grip, there's no tooth on the transparency that's going to grab the paint and make it stay where you put it. Really, you're putting a bunch of wet media right on plastic, which means it's slippy and it's slidey, and you can totally accidentally slide it right under the stencils design, which I think I probably just did right there a little bit because I used too much paint on the blending tool. Okay, so less is more. You can always build up layers, but that's really the key, you know. And then it really will dry pretty quickly because we're putting the paint on quite thin, and it's not like we're, well, I live in Arizona, as you guys know. We actually might get rain today. All that rain that's been hitting the California, not just the California coast, but California, is moving our way a little bit, but it's going to lose some of its strength. So I don't think we're going to be quite as dire as what's happening over there in California. But it's cloudy today here and starting to get a little drizzly. So, you know, when it rains in Arizona, it's exciting because we only get, you know, maybe 7 inches of rain a year. All right, that kind of dried, so I can pat it again, make it dark. All right, this new color, by the way, is Sapphire, this color that I'm using. So, yep, acrylic paint, Sapphire. This is the brand new color Sapphire. It's a beautiful blue. Archival does work. Archival ink does work on transparencies. They're just quite a long dry time. How did I end up with paint there? Because I'm Dina, of course. All right. The other nice thing too, like let's say you end up with a transparency, that you end up with paint where you didn't want it. You can wipe it off, scrape it off. It looks cool in the transparency though, right? With the Sapphire. Woo-hoo! All right. So I'm going to set this aside and let it dry for a second, okay? And then I'm going to grab a journal. Let's see. Let's use the 6x9. Or is this 6x9? No, what is this? I don't even know how big my own product is. I know, I'm lame. 7x10, I think. 7 by 10. 7x10. Oh, so this is a piece of transparency that's been stenciled. Okay, this is with the Sunshine stencil. If you can do it on paper, you can do it on the transparency mostly. It's just going to be different depending on the medium that you choose and how much paint you put on there. Just see what happens. Really, the best thing you can have is an attitude of discovery, an attitude of play, an attitude of what happens if I ... right? Just mess around, see what happens. It's only paper. Art journaling, you know, it's great when you love what you did and you're like, oh, that's so cool, I'm amazing. Okay, that's great. But how often do we do something and think, oh, oops, it doesn't matter, it's just a journal. Okay, that was a little bit of the new mustard color. This is a little bit of the malachite. Starting with a little just paint color brushed right onto the background. You know I'm going to get some neon pink in there. I cut this open earlier because you know how when the bottles feel like there's no more in there, there's actually tons more in there, tons and tons and tons. So cut it open. This is why my scissors look like they do. Here's my oops, there's my scissors. So I'm going to start with just a couple of colors overlapping. It's just background. Backgrounds don't matter. You know when backgrounds matter? Backgrounds matter when you overdo them. Or if you've created so much that you don't want to put anything on it. I'm here to tell you, if you've done that, you haven't made a background, you've made a painting. totally different there. All right, I'm gonna do a few stencils. Let's go to the stencil drawer. I'm singing. All right. I always feel like I'm channeling Elf when he sings. I'm in a store and I'm singing. Alrighty. A little bit of white maybe. White through a stencil is one of my absolute secret weapons. I don't see it nearby, so I'm going to use carnation. Give me a similar look, just with a pink tint. Basically, I'm choosing something light colored here. See how when I stencil through onto paper, I often use a swirly, I call it swirly swirly gumdrops. I use a circular motion with my stenciling. You can't, this is the motion you don't want to use when you are stenciling on a transparency, okay? Just don't do it. You'll just push your paint right underneath the plastic of the stencil and you will end up with sadness. You'll end up with, I mean, a blob. Now, can you then wipe it off? Well, yeah, you can, or pull a print or something like that. Absolutely, you can. But it's nice to not have to reset and redo it. So when you're doing on the stencils, or when you're doing on the transparencies, excuse me, just make sure you're not overdoing it. Let's put some text from the type ledger. So I love the type ledgers. Love, love, love. There's two different SKUs, or in other words, two different patterns, two different packages that you can buy, okay? They are quotes that I sat in my studio for an entire week and I just typed and typed and typed all these quotes, and I'm just going to use ultra thick gel medium to glue this down. And you can cut all the quotes out and you can use them like quotes, but you can also use them like pattern paper. Do. A little ultra thick. Ultra thick glue is my glue stick in a jar. The original gel would probably work for these two because they're not super heavy. Let's do 3 pieces. Gotta do 3 pieces. Because bottom line is, we're going to be putting this sucker over. So what's going to be peeking through? You've got to think about that. What do I want peeking through my transparency? A little bit of that. Why not? Love, love, love words. In my subscriber group, which is $5 a month, you subscribe on Facebook, our Dina Wakley Facebook page. I've been reading poetry to them. So whether they like it or not, I'm not sure, but I've been the English major in me loves a good poem. We're gonna actually do a poem themed mini journal in our subscriber group. You sign up for that click the blue subscriber button on my Art of Dina Wakley Facebook page, and it just makes me so happy. I love words that are spun in a way that make you feel. I was telling them that today I ended up with the poems that I read before I went live today. They were just so moving that I had tears. I was crying. I think that looks cool. What do you guys think? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna tip that in like it's a door, okay? So this is sticky back canvas tape. It is canvas that is a sticker. Essentially, it's tape. It has a backing on it, so you can paint it, stencil it, stamp it, draw on it, all that good stuff that you can do on paper and on canvas, you can do on this tape. So basically, you're making your own custom tape. It has a nice, good adhesive to it. I painted it lemon. It's dry now. I'm going to give myself a little cut there and just tear it in half. It tears along the grain really nicely. I'm going to put tape here. And then I'm going to open this up and put tape on the inside. I like to tape it on the front and on the back. Tip in my little door and window. It looks like I've managed to get stuff that's not dry. You know me. Wait for something to dry. The horror. The horror. So I really like the words behind it. I think it looks really cool. I can also take a paint pen that is not dry. How many pens have I ruined in my life because I have started writing on things that are not dry? I will tell you that it is a fair amount. You think I would learn my lessons, but apparently not. That would require thinking ahead, which isn't my best quality. All right, so I'm going to grab a scribble stick instead. This is turquoise scribble stick. Add some text back there. There's a whole video on ischemic writing, which is this kind of style of writing that I do. Just scroll back in the YouTube channel. You should be able to find it just fine. This is pretty dry, this here. Kind of scraping it off a little bit, so maybe it's not as dry as I think it is. Maybe I just need to let it dry. Like Frozen has Let It Go, Dina Wakley needs a theme song that says, "Let it dry, woman. Let it dry." Again, I don't love heating acrylic paint with a heat tool. I feel like it just gets fumes into your lungs, and paint is plastic, and you can do something else. Okay, I just have to say that turned out really cool. It basically etched it. Can you guys see that? It etched and kind of, it's basically, it's sgraffito, which is, sgraffito is an art term, which means you scrape through to see what's underneath. But the force of the pen riding through that thin layer on the plastic has etched through, and it's really cool. All right, should we do some collage on top of that? Yes, we shall. You know me, I'm gonna staple it because I'm Dina. Hey everyone that's joined us. I know the canvas tape. Oh, the canvas tape is the bomb. Okay, my son bought, I don't know, like 1,000 of these tiny little ducks. And he's been putting these little ducks everywhere he goes. He got in trouble for putting them around at work. Which makes me laugh. It's kind of like the Jeep owners that will duck each other, you know? Add ducks. All right, that's from the Grids. That's from Grids collage paper. It's floating around on my desk, so I thought, why not use it? Let's see what else I have floating around on my desk. I always have something interesting. How about hearts? So this is just a piece of paper. Actually, it's a tag from when the last demo. Remember the last demo we did glosses? This is a tag that's been floating around on my desk since then. And I had cut it up during that demo. So now we have 3 hearts cut out of that tag. How did I manage to do that? Good job, woman. Do, do, do. Do, do, do. I like the hearts. Because I use similar colors, it also gives you continuity between the colors in the background. And then what do you do on the inside? The answer is yes. Focal point images. Let's see what we got here. Let's see what it looks like. That shuts. I don't see how that's too much? See how that distracts from the imagery there? So I don't think that's a good choice, personally. personally. See that? See how you kind of have to be careful. If you're going to take the focus away from the face, you really need to watch what you put down there. I think maybe just a couple of images from pocket squares actually. I have lots of these pre-stamped because they're one of my favorite sets. If you're a star owner and you're watching this, I would love for you to drop your links. Please feel free to do so. Also, if your favorite store doesn't have the stuff that I'm using, they want to serve you, and I guarantee that they will order it for you. Okay? Right? She's going to have this woman on her mind. I like it. I'm going to put those there. Ultra thick. Let's repeat the grid. So anytime you can repeat an element, you get what is called unity in your artwork. Okay, so don't just put something on there once, put it on there several times. Now the reason I stuck it over here on the side is because if I put it in the middle, it's going to distract from the silhouette or the pensive stencil, right? But you can kind of see them peeking out. So then that gives me a clue, a visual clue, that this relates to this that's behind. And so it invites me to open that up and maybe read more in there. More hearts. Heart on the cheek, says Yolene. Let's try it. I have to do things in odd numbers. Not always, but a lot of the times. A lot of the time. Put that one there because I don't think my stapler will reach. We might put this one here because what this will do again, provide continuity from the front of the door to the back. And then it makes sense visually that that belongs there. Right? I like it. I think it's funky cool. We'll let that dry. So the ultra thick will absolutely dry. It'll take a little bit longer on the transparency, but it will dry just fine as well. Now, if you really want this to stand out, okay, if we want it to stand out against the black of the stamped images, what we want to do is maybe stencil again. Not necessarily over the entire piece, but let's just accent the most important areas, which are going to be the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. And we're going to add a little black paint to them as well. Bring them forward. Okay, so it looks fine. Okay, but I'll show you the difference. It's all about competing imagery, right? See if I can get it close to where I had it before, you know, more or less. All right. A little bit of black paint, trying hard not to overdo it. Oh, Dina. So that gives you a nice visual pop there with a little black paint through eyes, the nose, and the mouth. See how it makes it pop? Black will always be dominant on your page. So if you want somebody to look, you just want to use contrast as one of your tools to create that visual draw. So hard to wait for everything you do while you're creating. So many pens, yes, they do. Pens. I remember when Diana came out with her pens, she handed them to me and said, I know you're going to ruin these. And I was like, oh, rude. And then I'm like, yeah, you're right. And you know what? I did ruin it. That's very true. All right, I'm going to just, that might not be done. I don't know, but I love the way it turned out so far. So I'm going to just let that percolate for a bit. I'm going to come back to the piece that I stenciled on my background mop-up paper. Now see how I didn't do a super great job stenciling it there? Remember that an outline fixes everything. So if you do, where's the pen that I about ruined today? So if you do end up stenciling where you wish you wouldn't have, one of my secret weapons for fixing is to outline where where it should have gone, not where the paint actually went. Okay, so I think maybe a black would be better than that white though. See if that looks okay. It helps a little bit. Children of the Corn over here. Let me get her look cross-eyed. I think it helps a little bit. If you hear the F-150 fighter jets going over my house right now, we were talking about this in supporters today. I'm right in the turnaround of the jets. So, and they must be running lots of drills out in the desert right now because they have been zooming over my house all morning. There's always a way to fix things. Over here on this side, I'm going to put just a little catch light in the eye there. Help your figures look a little more alive. That one ended up kind of big, but can always make it smaller. Paint writes on paint. So basically I used the white paint pen to kind of fix where I overdid. Oh shoot, I just wiped it off. What was I thinking? Anyway, you get the idea, yeah? Cool. Our journal pages don't have to be perfect. They just have to be done. Done is better than perfect. One of my life, and especially art mottos. I'm not a perfectionist for sure. Gets you, definitely makes you feel graffiti, sort of grunge style, a little bit of a visual interest here. We'll add some neon there. I love to use the lids of my my gesso jars and my glue jars as neon or as circles. It's just the perfect circle, it really is. That or a soda can, the bottom of a soda can. A little bit of neon happiness circles there going on. Let's just put something right there. A little bit of neon happiness. Let's throw some neon orange on there. This is radical. A little 1980s ode to the 80s. All the neon. Remember, the neon glosses come with a dropper. If you hate the dropper, you can buy the sprayers to put in them instead. If you love the droppers and you want to put droppers in all of yours, go ahead and buy the droppers. You can buy the droppers in a separate package as well. I love this line from an Emily Dickinson poem. I am out with lanterns looking for myself. We're going to use that quote on her. I think that makes sense. Oh, for sure. Everything. Nothing is fair game, right? In a studio. I remember I love the droppers too. I remember when my boys were little, I stole this great Lego plate from them. They saw me using it once for texture, this big Lego plate about this big, and they were like, "Oh, there's our Lego." They're like, "Are we ever getting it back?" I'm like, no. Actually, no, you are not getting it back. Okay, so I hope that gave you guys a couple of ideas to use with the Pensive face. Thanks for experimenting with me as we went along and tried it on the transparency. It just was an idea that I had this morning. This quote is going to actually be perfect. This quote is by Franklin D. Roosevelt, and it says, "Above all, try something." If you don't play, if you don't work at it, it doesn't get better. Put this quote over here. Above all, let's cut it into two. Whoop, drop the scissors. So when in a minute when I say, "Where did those scissors go?" you're gonna say, "You dropped them." Okay? All right. You guys can all be my handlers. Stop thinking. No more thinking, only doing. If it turns out bad, you laugh. Oh, I lost the attribution. Oh, there it is. If it turns out, you laugh and turn the page. Right? Right. Oh, yeah, the Lego play. And then I never washed it, so all the Lego, eventually it stopped being textural because all the paint built up in the Lego. And it was kind of funny. Okay, my friends, that's my little demo today with the Pensive Stencil. I hope it gave you some ideas, and thanks for joining me and coming along on the crazy Dina Wakley ride. Thanks, everybody. Can't wait to see what you create. Bye. Are you sure you want to stop?